Mayor. I get it.
And the other thing,
No one is exempt.
you can tell fighting back. Well, I won't do that. I'm going to help you. See what I can do to help on yours. And that friend of mine still wants to do, she's a Marvin mom,
Yeah.
whatever. They're actually Republicans. They're not Dems. They want to do something. Oh, fun.
Started out.
Right.
Is now fan.
Oh, that's good. He saw me at the PET. How you doing? How's it going? Yes. Okay. If you want me to, you tell me. Okay, good. Yeah, that's fine. I figured you're busy. That's passive. So anytime around here. Okay. I'll be there. Thanks, Mike. No problem at all.
How are you?
Good. Hey, Mike.
There's the big guy.
How are you? Good.
How's life?
I got a great idea.
Yeah, what's up?
You can use. It's ourselves. Yes.
That works for me. I think, well,
Oh my gosh, our fall lineup is I did. I said hard. I did. But that's you.
Discriminating because we haven't done half the budget. Briggs. Which is this is part of the deal.
Are you in town?
I'm usually in this.
That's good to know.
Telecommuting.
Oh, okay. Maybe I could, we can get with you.
Okay. We'll talk after.
Yeah, I just need to find some contacts in a couple of situations.
How you doing?
It's going. Yeah. I've had 4 so far. I'm gonna go in. Everybody's similar. So that's great. Cheers, all the same.
Thankfully, is that one not good?
No, I just wondered if it goes back at all. Okay, we're all gonna sit up straight. Yep. I know.
Spotlight, great. No spotlight. She's out for speakers.
don't worry, Heidi. I'm okay. I left my house at 7:30 this morning.
Just a reminder, members of the public, anybody who would like to address the board,
So I'm
there's a sign-up sheet over here by the podium.
Where? Your house? Well, hey, I like the tropics.
All right.
I don't start it off.
All right, we'll call this meeting of the Board of Education to order. First item of business, if you join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is public comments. Mr. Kasimis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When I call your name, please come up to the podium. Give us your name and address for the record. Before you start, you'll have 3 minutes. When there's 30 seconds left, I'll wave my hand, and please begin to close in 3 minutes. We just ask that you close. As always, please keep your comments civil. First up is Mr. Bruce Millian.
Good evening. Bruce Millian, North Federation of Teachers, 9 Mott Avenue. Each board member, I left you a package that you can look at afterwards, which has 4 different items included. The top one is a brochure that's been produced about literacy for parents for their children. The second page is the actual printout of the workshop that we presented in Washington, D.C. last week, which was attended by approximately 200 teachers from all over the country. The third item was the outline of what we presented, although we put it into a PowerPoint roll. And the last one is the article. It was in the Norwalk Hour. It was really well received, and it's something that really is not being done anyplace else in the country the way we're doing it. So it brought tremendous accolades to Norwalk Public Schools, Norwalk Board of Ed, the City of Norwalk. And I was also given the honor of only one of 8 people out of 2,300 to talk directly to the conference for 2 minutes about how your voice matters. And again, that was a reiteration of what we did. So we just got tremendous, a lot of good press, good acknowledgement all the way across the board, and very, very positive feedback. On the second topic, I just want to mention about Briggs, since I'm the member of the turnaround committee. And the Briggs folks and the population and the students have done a marvelous job to move forward in a positive way. From where we started, when we started the project, to where it is, and what you're going to hear tonight is really special. And we also would support the change of the name to Norwalk Pathways Academy at Briggs. But I just think that we should focus on the positive, because we've heard from this lecture too often too much negative, a lot of which is not true. I also want to mention, and maybe Marie or other speakers will mention, that I did get some fabulous, outstanding pictures this week of this new science lab. That's really, really positive. So what are we doing? We're moving in the right direction with Briggs. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Jeff Spar.
Thank you. My name is Jeffrey Spar. I live at 32 Stony Brook Road in Norwalk. First, I want to welcome Dr. Adamowski to the Norwalk Board of Education. I also want to congratulate him for the recent ceremony for his daughter. So congratulations to him for that. I'm sure he's very proud of it. I want to say that I'm one of the spokespeople for the Norwalk Sped Partners Group, which is the special education parents group. And the reason why I came here tonight was to specifically offer to Dr. Adamowski that we want to be present for him, to support him, and to partner with him in a unionized way to work together. We have a lot of longitudinal knowledge and history of what's going on in this department, and we'd like to share that with you. I think you'll find that the parents that we have that have coalesced into this group are not finger pointers. They're people that actually roll up their sleeves and want to work with you. So our group is not a group of what went wrong and to try to dwell on it. We're all about moving forward. We know that you're going to have some initiatives. We support those. We want to let you know that we as the taxpayers and the parents are there to help you to lobby for anything statewide with anything you need as far as support goes. The other thing I would like to say is, as far as any of the selection goes of the SPED directors, we'd like to see if you could get some kind of parental input from that. We're there. You can use me as a contact person. I could fan out the information. I'd like to do that. So that's the reason why I came here, is to let you know that we're there for you, to support you, and we can be basically a resource for you. And the only second thing I have to do, I have 2 kids, so I want to say that the Norwalk High School Band, you will find, if you haven't known already, is probably one of the best resources that the city of Norwalk has. My daughter is a drum drum captain. It's really a shining example of what the city of Norwalk is. It has every single person from every single background working together to win championships, and I think that the Norwalk High School Band is a model of what our school system be as a whole. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have Miss Lisa Thompson.
Lisa Thompson, 24 Highland Avenue.
First, some good news. As a parent of two children, a rising junior and a 2015 Brian McMahon graduate who's headed to GW this fall, there is much to celebrate academically in our district. As a testament to what is possible, the diverse class of Brian McMahon's 2015 group is headed off to more Ivies and selective colleges than any class in recent Norwalk history. Now for some not so good news. Out of all the events and staff leadership departures experienced this year, the area that most greatly concerns me is elementary literacy. The loss of the Dahlia Foundation funding for the site instructional specialist, coupled with the departure of our elementary literacy expert, Dr. Ruby, hit hard. As the parent of high school students, I'm not here pitching for my kids. I'm well past the elementary years. But I believe that elementary literacy is our weakest link, as is often the case in urban school districts such as ours. I saw it in 2004 when my son's school had no standard language arts curriculum. Each elementary school did its own thing. At that time, we had no diagnostic tools either for diagnosing reading problems. Fast forward to just last week when I saw our latest data collection showing hundreds of kids in kindergarten through third grade who start the school year reading below grade level and sadly remain below grade level at the end of the school year. This can't be allowed to happen since we all know that if a child leaves elementary school, they'll likely never catch up in middle and high school. Replacing Dr. Ruby will be a tall order, and moving back literacy funders, and foundations like the Dahlia Foundation will happen only if they're convinced that Norwalk is implementing a comprehensive and coordinated elementary literacy program. One that has professional development for our teachers and a program for children and parents that is put together by literacy experts. I believe fidelity is the word that educators like to use these days. So once again, welcome to Norwalk, Dr. Adamowski. I hope that one of your first orders of business is to reach out with all those great contacts you've got in Connecticut and find us a K-3 literacy expert. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have Mr. John Mosby.
Good evening. My name is John Mosby, 15 Addison Avenue. I would like to speak very briefly tonight. I spoke to you all last time and more nothing done about bridge when I spoke. Tonight I know that I saw in the paper where you all going to change the name and do to another name. My problem is that I want to say to the public that we gave you all a potential for over 400 people in our community. And it seems like every time we are left out of everything. That's what I'm a little angry about, because you all been ignoring us. You always talking about the turnaround and we met, but ain't none of us from our black community been invited to it. And that is what I call discrimination. Now you all, I told you before we're gonna start a lawsuit. We did do it, but we're gonna have to change it now from bridge to the fact we are left out of everything. And I'm not here to knock the superintendent. You know, he walked by me tonight, didn't even shake my hand. And I'm one of the community leaders. You don't even want to meet with us in the community. For too long, we've been sitting back and you see all over this country, I'm going to be very brief, how people are fed up the way you treating the communities. We're fed up with it. So I'm asking you all to answer and sit down with us. All over this town, y'all run after this grant money. Partner over here and partner over here, and we are not a part of it. And I want to say to this board, y'all should stand up to the plate. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And that is all that are signed up. It's all yours, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Next item on the agenda is the superintendent's report. Dr. Adamowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Mosby, I apologize. I didn't shake hands with anybody on my way in tonight, but I won't miss you the next time. So, you know, this is my first report to you as a board, and I've been dealing with a number of issues, and a number of them are very time sensitive relative to the opening of school and resolving some ongoing issues so that we can move forward with some clarity. So I'm going to focus my report on three areas in that category this evening. The first is the status of special education. As you know, Dr. Ruby was reassigned as special education director last month. And she has been working very hard on this in the same manner that she has addressed early literacy. Based upon the information she has shared with me, it appears that we have more extensive issues in special ed that were previously known or reported. And I feel these fall into three broad categories. The first is that there may, in fact, be further cost overruns for outside placements that were determined in the past school year that were not converted to contracts. And you remember the last issue that I think came to your attention from Dr. Connolly was this issue of contracts that were sitting in the special ed office that had not been given to the business office, and as a result were not kind of calculated in the district's liability for the next year. This current issue really deals with IEP decisions for outside placements that have not been converted to contracts yet, so you don't know the price. But it appears to be a significant additional liability in that area. And again, we don't have an exact number for that at this time. The second kind of bucket here is that there appear to be many areas of the, or at least some areas of the special education budget that were reduced where caseloads for 15-16 do not warrant the reduction, or where the caseloads have changed in the interim period of time. And then finally, in a third category, there are several program areas that may be, in fact, be out of compliance or do not reflect best practice or embrace the concept of the least restrictive environment for all children. Okay. So within each of these broad areas, there are multiple issues and levels of complexity as individualized as the services and the children who are the recipients and unique as individualized as the children themselves are. Because of this, in complexity as to their cause, how they can be corrected. My impression at this point is these issues are systemic in nature and beyond dealing with them one at a time. So I intend to ask the State Department of Education, Special Education Bureau, to conduct a compliance audit of Norwalk Special Education Services. I'm also exploring contracting with the State Education Resource Center, the SERC, and which has particular expertise in special education, to assist the district and our new special ed director when hired to implement the results and recommendations of this audit. Mr. Spar, I will definitely take you up on your offer and that of the parents in terms of contributing to the database that is considered in the audit, as well as vetting the new special education director. I hope that these actions will take us down the road to a fresh start on firm ground and hopefully a new capacity to provide quality special education services to all our learners. The second issue deals with the unassigned out of attendance area placements. And I know you've had some discussion on this, and there's been some churn and discussion in the community, and an urban legend has it that there are 300 unassigned 99s out there. Okay, so for someone coming new to the district, this is a real mystery. 99, by the way, is a code in our student information system that identifies students that are not assigned to a school. I'm going to give you a handout that attempts to clarify this situation and what has been done and what will be done. First of all, it's not 300 students. It's 160 students. And the majority of those students are out of attendance area requests, as opposed to the 99s, which are in the South Norwalk or Greater South Norwalk neighborhood. The reason why that number is so low in terms of 99 placement is that these are the incoming kindergartners, and the other students have already been placed. So you do not have this large number of students that need to be placed every year to begin with. It's 46 students. The larger number are these out-of-area requests. And you'll note that of the 114, only 35 are new requests. The other 79 are renewals. And the district has followed a process in the past of the parent having to reapply every single year. Now, in my view, that is a process that does not add value. Once the student is accepted, it should be assumed that they will continue at the school unless some change of that is made by a parent who wants to apply elsewhere. So if you look at the bullet points there, I think they embody where we are. Placements are made in designated schools on the basis of available space and budgeted staff, as they should be. The out-of-attendance area renewals will be, at this point and going forward, automatically granted as a practice, so the parent does not have to reapply annually. So that will cut about half of this out in terms of, again, process at central office that does not add value. The new out-of-attendance area requests will be approved by the receiving school principal on the basis of available space and budgeted staff. The new 99 students, South Norwalk placements, I'm pleased to report, have been made and the parents have been notified. Now, there may be a few children who register late or who move into the community later in the summer, and they would have to be dealt with at the time that they move and are available to register. But basically, the deck is cleared on this. Everyone has been placed. And then beginning in the 2016-17 school year, and this is something I would recommend that you be thinking about. It is probably a recommendation I'll be bringing forward to you. It's not necessary that we deal with it at this time. But I don't think that having a policy in which there are a group of families who are assigned to a school by August 15th and don't even have a choice in expressing what school they would like to go to, simply are assigned. I don't think that meets the standard that we want for all of our families. And I would ask you to consider here that beginning in 16-17, that the kindergarten students from the area that has no school be given first preference in the magnet school lottery in March, rather than involuntary assignment by August 15th. This puts the parent in a position of choosing. I think it enhances our magnet programs in their historic traditional role of providing a basis for voluntary desegregation and choice. And I think it frankly treats these families as more as valued clients than the current practice may. But anyway, that's the status of this. I don't anticipate this is going to be a problem whatsoever. I didn't want you to be under the impression that there were these 300 students out there unassigned, because there's not. And I wanted to thank, in particular, Ralph Valenzuzi for his very good work in this area over the summer. Final item in my report deals with the issue of the elementary site coordinators or site directors. And as you know, this has been a contentious issue. It deals with the repercussions of the loss of the Delio Foundation grant, and it is one that where we have a need and an obligation to preserve this function to the greatest degree possible in the next school year, utilizing the resources that are available to us, and then build on that. So I want to just take you back to the last piece of information you received on this from Interim Superintendent Connolly. And that was that funding could be found for 10 positions. Dr. Connolly made that recommendation based upon information that the Priority School District grant, which is the kind of the companion piece to the Alliance funding grant, that a portion of it, several $100,000 of it, could be used for this purpose. Now, since that time, the State Department has effected a rescission of 8.5% of the Priority School District grant. So that is no longer possible. That funding is not available as Mr. Connolly thought it would be. I had every reason to feel it would be. In looking at that grant, it is not possible to go into it for this purpose, because to do so without that 8.5% presence would involve the cutting of other positions. And there are a number of actual teaching positions. This is quite unusual in my experience, but there are a number of K-3 teaching positions that are partially or wholly funded on that grant. And you may want to argue that, that is really a responsibility of the district going forward. That's something we have to look at in the next budget cycle, because these are fundamental positions. They're not generally positions that would be funded with the Priority School District grant, although some districts do use it or used it in the past when we had half-time kindergarten only required to provide the other half of kindergarten. So that is taking place with that grant, but also extended beyond that first and second grade teachers. Some of them are funded that way also. So this is, we have essentially 7 positions to work with, and I want to give you a handout that I'd like to take you through that will kind of explain this and what our options are going forward. So the very first page is from our Alliance District grant, and you'll see that there is, and this is approved by the State Department at this point. You'll see that there are 7 elementary site directors approved for $905,000, and then the grant specifically calls for a full-time site director for Briggs. And that is the district's contribution to the Commissioner's Network Plan, which is also state funded for Briggs. And then you'll see there's another $22,000 in benefits. So if you go to the second page, you'll see the description of how those positions are supposed to be used. And again, this may be a slight variance from the understanding with the Dalio Foundation of how the positions were supposed to be used. But in the Alliance grant, it's for the implementation of New Journeys, which is a literacy program, core knowledge, and more effective implementation of M-class reading, K-3 assessments. And in addition, more effective and consistent supervision of evaluation of teachers in the building. And this is an important point, because I'm going to show you some information in a minute that looks at the number of teachers in each building that have to be evaluated. And this is a state law, and Norwalk was actually a pilot for the SEED evaluation program. So if you look at the very next page, you'll see our Norwalk elementary schools listed, and you'll see the total projected enrollment. And in the very last column on the right, it says total number of NFTs subject to SEED. These are the people in each building who have to be evaluated. And this is, goal setting process, 4 observations, written evaluation. That, in addition to the enrollment of the school, is an important factor, because statewide, the standard is between 20 to 25 teachers to 1 administrator for the purpose of affecting the evaluation process well and with fidelity, as was mentioned by Ms. Thompson earlier. So without a proper staffing of a school to do that, the principal simply runs around spending all their time on the evaluation system and cannot run the school and cannot address the other instructional leadership aspects of it. So the two variables here are number of teachers who need to be evaluated and the enrollment of the school. And you can see in some cases, the enrollment of the school is very different from one another. Where you have, a low of 317 and a high of almost 600 students. So on the next page is a distribution based upon these two factors, which I think is the best that we can do at this point in order to get some stability around this process and complete staffing of the school and the schools and get everyone prepared in their roles for the next school year. So as I mentioned, Briggs will retain its full-time person because that is specified in the grant. I've assigned one full-time position to both Jefferson and Kendall, which are the schools with the largest enrollment and the largest number of teachers that have to be evaluated. And then you'll see there are a set of 0.8 schools, Brookside, Cranberry, and Marvin. There are a set of of 0.5 schools, Silvermine, Rowayton, Narragansett, and Fox Run, and then the two smallest schools, Wolfbit and Columbus, at 0.2. Now that's about 3 points over what we have to work with, but that is close as I can get in a coherent manner that would allow the sharing of these positions among schools, where you can see that, a 0.2 would be paired with a 0.8, or a 0.5 would be paired with another 0.5. I think that as we go into the next budget cycle for 2016-17, we have to look at a district commitment to full-time assistant principals at Kendall and Jefferson. I think that is a district responsibility to have enough administrative staff there to run a school that size and to be able to evaluate all the teachers involved. It may be possible, we have a situation that may be evolving at the central office, which would allow the consolidation of two existing budgeted positions into one. If that were to occur in the future, I would like to take those resources, repurpose them toward this, and that would cover the 0.3 and allow the 3.8 schools to go to 1.0 full-time. Okay, and I'd like to do that with your understanding now, because if that were to develop, it would develop in the next couple of weeks, so we would have to move quickly, because it would change the assignments of people. So that is the best I think we can do with this situation at this time. I hope this brings closure to it, resolves it, gives us a path forward, and will allow for everyone to know what they're doing and recommit to their roles and the good work that these positions are intended to provide for our students. And that would be it, unless the board has some questions on anything that I've discussed tonight.
Questions, Mr. Morris?
Stephen, can you give us some order of magnitude on the sped costs?
I'm very reluctant to do that, and the reason I am is there are a set of liabilities that appear to be somewhere in the range of $1 to $2 million. But there are also other students coming back from outside placements that have also not been considered, okay? And those will provide some offset in savings. And there is also a bit of confusion around the extent to which some of these liabilities, which may have involved an existing contract where there are now 2 children, or it was a partial year, now it's a full year, were built in or not to the budget. I do have to tell you, though, that in the future, I think the better way of dealing with these is to have that position for billing of outside contracts in the business office. and for the institutions that provide these services, these outside placements, to bill directly to the business office. I mean, this seems to be a breakdown between what has gone to the special ed department and what has actually gotten to the business office. And again, in my experience, the better practice is to do direct billing right to the business office, so that the CFO always has a handle on what's coming in and what's going out.
If I can just follow up with that, since Maureen Ruby has given a departure date, and it's, I think it's August 3rd, is another interim director going to be appointed? Is that your thinking?
It's possible. I have been reaching out to people from throughout the state regarding this, and there are a couple possibilities that may materialize. This is a very hard area to fill. It is, of the areas of durational shortage, it is the greatest in Connecticut. It is the #1 shortage area. I think last year there was something like, of our 167 districts, I think there was something like 16 that were either vacant or filled with interims or temporary people. It may be that we would have to have another internal person serve for a short period of time, but I'm hoping that will be a short period of time. What I do want to avoid, though, through the audit and the CERC work, is having a new director come in and having to spend the first 6 months kind of ferreting out the issues. Okay, that should be subject to audit. CERC can provide, has the expertise to provide a plan. What we want the director to do is focus on implementing the plan and doing the things that need to be done, not trying to figure them out. And as many of these issues, you get different versions of a story depending upon who you talk to. But you really need someone with highly developed expertise in this area to simply say, okay, regardless of how it may have been done, this is how it should be done going forward. So possible that we would need another interim. I will let you know that if that is the case. But again, I'm still optimistic at this point, or I am optimistic at this point, that we may be able to attract an outstanding person. They will come from another district. This is a job that requires someone with experience, and not someone who is going into the role for the first time.
Any other questions, comments? No? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adamowski.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda is approval of personnel. Chair would entertain a motion. Mr. Kucinich moves. Ms. Rivas seconds to approve the personnel items which are listed on the packet. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of approving the personnel items, please indicate. Unanimous, thank you. Item 2, approval of Norwalk Elementary School Improvement Project. I think I saw Mr. Lowe out there. Do you want to come up and give us a quick summary on this one?
I'm Alan Lowe from the city of Norwalk, and recently, I guess this September 2014, we opened the addition at Norwalk School. It's 4-classroom addition, and we also did the boiler replacement over there. So the project was opened in September, and we had a whole bunch of punch list items that we went through. At this point, we are ready to submit it to the board for approval so that we can go after the state for reimbursement for those state share of the money. The process, so in terms of auditing, it probably takes 2 to 3 years. So it is a lengthy process. And the total project, I think on my backup memo, there's a budget sheet on it. The total budget we set aside for this project is $4.42 million, and at final accounting is what we spent about $4.16 million.
Recommended budget, good job.
So we're good, and usually we keep that money in account because state auditing, when the state look at these the submittals, many times they challenge the number that we provide them. typically we are pretty straightforward. We don't want to build up too much or too little, because at the end of the day, 2 years from now, if we're short money, they're going to come to the city for, ask for additional money. It doesn't work that way. The project's finished. So we typically, there's about $200,000 we leave in the account to auditing, and at that point, 2 years from now, if there's another project that need money, we can reprogram that or go for special appropriation and reprogram that money.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Lau? Thank you. Okay, then the chair would entertain a motion to approve Naramake SDE project number 103-0242 as complete. Ms. Rivas moves. Is there a second? Ms. Keys, any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor, please indicate. Motion is unanimously approved. Good job, Mr. Lowe. Well done. All right. Next item on the agenda is, this is just a technicality. This is approval of SDE EB99 authorized signature change form. It's basically just for Connecticut State Department of Education Health and Nutrition programs. Authorizes Dr. Adamowski to sign all documents. Mr. Sims moves. Is there a second? Ms. Rivas seconds. Any discussion? All in favor of approval, please indicate. And that is also unanimous. Thank you. Item 4, approval to rename Richard C. Briggs High School as Norwalk Pathways Academy at Briggs. I understand that there's a presentation from the Briggs School that was going to be put on, and then we'll proceed to discussion at the board.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome, Dr. Adamowski, and also thank you, Mr. Millian, for your continued support through the whole turnaround process. It's been a long road. This evening, I have Miss Fayowish. She is our instructional specialist, and a student, Evelyn Bruchetta, and we are here this evening to request that the name Richard C. Briggs High School change to the Norwalk Pathways Academy at Briggs. As you know, we're in our third year of the turnaround, and we'd like to update you on a few things. As you can see from the slide, our attendance has increased. We've gone from 69% to 87% in attendance. Many of these students came to us who were struggling with going to school and getting to school on time. Our discipline referrals have gone down, and that's partially due to full implementation of PBIS. And in order for us to sustain what we've implemented thus far, we will begin this coming school year partnering with the Norwalk Community College, working with the civil service agencies throughout Norwalk, and growing our own talent right here in Norwalk Public Schools. And Mrs. Fayowish is going to go through what we're going to look like for the 2015-2016 school year, and I think you'll be happy to see how the partnerships, not only with NCC, but with Norwalk Public Schools and civil service agencies in the community, will really benefit all of the students here in Norwalk.
Thank you. Good evening. I will make it very brief. There will be 4 potential pathways that the students can elect to participate in. And they basically do classes at NCC depending on their pathway. If it's a health and technology pathway, they will go there twice a week. And if they're in a trades pathway, we actually are planning to grow our own and have them partner with people within our district. And the civil service pathway, we already have a relationship with the fire department. We already did a mini academy. And we just found out today that we have already a proposal from the police academy to do another another mini academy. So the technology pathway, as I said, will be, the health and technology will be taking place at NCC with NTC instructors, but just for our high schoolers. The civil service pathway is with our local agencies. Our trades pathways are with our own in-district people. And in brief, these are the 4 pathways, and they will be taking place twice a week and after their academic classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we hope, if everybody's schedules can accommodate them. And we just figured that this would be the best way to rebrand ourselves, to appeal to our overage and undercredited students, making sure that we are transitioning them to some post-secondary plan. That's been the area that we feel that we haven't had as many gains as we would like. And in order for us to do that, we just want to get them started on whatever it is that they feel that they are interested in.
Dr. Briggs was a superintendent here in Norwalk for 10 years, and he did a lot for our district, and he's kind of been so he was instrumental in creating the Center for Vocational Arts, and we'd like to honor Dr. Briggs by placing a picture of him on the third floor with the other superintendents. We also, unfortunately, we have a student that you'll hear from, and she's going to share just how the students are perceived here in Norwalk. And it really will tug at your heart. It's not okay. It's not acceptable. And we've been trying to change the negative perception of our Briggs students by making significant changes within our building. But we keep trying to get the word out, and people aren't seeing Briggs for what we're truly doing inside of our building. And we want the community to know what we have to offer to our students. And we believe that a name change would assist us in reflecting what we're doing with our students and how our students really have changed and how they're really making steps to improving their own lives. So we are requesting from the board that you approve this evening name change to the Norwalk Pathways Academy at Briggs to support all of the efforts so far and our students. So at this time, I'd like Evelyn to say a few words.
Hi. Well, I think that changing the name of the school, it will be good because kids will see it differently. Like the younger kids I work with at the Carver Center, they tell me that it's a bad school. I'm like, no, it's not. It's just like the past. And now the school has gotten better with the help of our teachers and Dr. Allen. And for me, it's been a really great opportunity to do better in all my classes and to graduate on time. So, yeah.
Evelyn is a high honor student, and she's quite a phenomenal young lady. She's going places. So, any questions?
Any questions for Dr. Allen? Ms. Reeves?
Yes, I think it's wonderful that you what you're doing and the way the students are excited with learning and having a whole new outlook. What it was mentioned earlier about having community input for at least for the parents from the students there, or did you do a reach out to discuss it so that people could be more aware of what is going on at Briggs?
We have a school governance council that was brought up at the governance council that was run by our parent liaison. We've had letters going home to parents. We've talked to the students. The students had a hand in renaming the school along with the staff. And incidentally, our turnaround meetings from the beginning to the end have been open.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Keys, then the mayor.
Thank you. I was fortunate enough to attend the facilities meeting last Friday at Briggs. Very impressed. We saw this presentation. I think you all did a really great job on presenting it and getting your point of view across. And I think it's important branding this name for the children in the school to really feel great about their school and a sense of pride and a sense of ownership. And I think by renaming the school, that's the next step. I think it's not only a new direction, but I think it's the right direction. And it's the first start of other things that will be happening that are right for the school. I think now is the time to make the change. It's the beginning part of it.
Thank you.
Ms. Mayor?
Yes, thank you. Dr. Allen, I think this is great. I know when we had the trades show here at City Hall, you were kind enough to arrange for transportation for some of the students to come down and meet with carpenters and masons, electricians, and they really, truly enjoyed it. And it showed them that there are other options available to them if they're not going to consider going on to college or to further education. The other thing was, when I attended the fire academy for a period of time, or for one day, when the young kids were learning about firefighting and trying perhaps maybe get their interest in becoming firefighters. As you know, we're working in that direction now. I believe, based on my contact with the trades unions, that in addition to using staff and the resources that you have at MPS, we could arrange to have them come in periodically and work with your students and talk about carpentry and electrician and what it is to be, and maybe even take them out in the field if you have a program where there's an off-site kind of a working relationship. So please contact me. I'd be more than happy to at least try to arrange that.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Anything else? Ms. Mosby?
Hi. At the facility planning meeting, we did discuss about the curriculum, and that it would probably most likely come to the curriculum, like this for you too as well, to the curriculum committee, so that we can go over and review it at that time. So I just want to make sure that that's out there, Mike, that you're aware that that's going to come to us.
Okay.
So we can look
Yes, we'd
at
like to attend. That would be wonderful.
Yes, so that'll be good. And then that gives the opportunity too, for the community, public, or whoever, wants to be involved, that they can come at that point to go through that process.
Mr. Kasson?
Thank you. We were fortunate to have a wonderful greeting over at Briggs School last week when we had the meeting. And I have to say, literally, Brian Briggs, for some reason I keep mixing school names. Briggs has literally turned around, and I really believe it's because of you, Dr. Allen. You've done wonderful work over there. The school is clean, it's spotless. The new lab is amazing. So I applaud you. You've done some great work. You've got some great people with you.
I have wonderful kids.
Yes, great kids. And one of the things that impressed me the most about the name change, and I think you said this, is that a lot of the kids want to see this change. So it's not just something that, maybe a principal or some teachers are looking at. It's the kids that want it to change, because they're perceived as kids that are underperforming, and that's not the case.
Absolutely.
Briggs has really turned around. And the name change, the new curriculum, will also invite other students from middle school, I believe you said, who do want to look at a career in the trades or technology or civil service. And I think that's wonderful. I think that's something that Norwalk has lacked. And I support this fully, and I thank you for the work you're doing over there.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Mosby?
And the honoring of Dr. Briggs and giving the history on what he has done for the district and that school is something I think is very vital, and I applaud you for at least putting that out there so that we can get a general idea of the history of this person. And that there will go a long way with, repairing whatever happened between that process of Briggs and that name. Because Dr. Briggs was a very, very, as Mr. Connolly said, iconic person. So
Yes.
for us to remember the history of that, of that person, that's good. And to have a good positive spin on it is something that's going to move this to the next level.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? All right, thank you. At this point, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the renaming as Norwalk Pathways Academy at Briggs. Mr. Kasimis, second. Ms. Rivas, is there further discussion on the motion? All right, all in favor of the renaming of the school to Norwalk Pathway Academies at Briggs, please indicate. And it is unanimous. Thank you. All right, time for committee and representative reports. Let's see, who are we going to start with tonight? Who wants to go first? No volunteers. All right, then. There you go. Ms. Keys from policy.
We had a policy committee meeting tonight prior to our board meeting, and just as a reminder, our meetings, like all of our committee meetings, are open to the public. Everyone is actually urged to attend if you can. We just discussed tonight policy 5125, which is student records and directory information. We actually had a lively discussion talking about some possible changes, some modifications. Again, it's all in the discussion stage. We are going to be bringing it back to the policy committee for further discussion. We also spoke about policy 6141, which is BYOD, bring your own device. Ralph did an amazing presentation tonight. Again, we're in the discussion stages of that as far as children bringing their own device to school, whether it's an iPad, an iPhone, whatever device, cell phone that they have. But we have a lot of glitches at this point, so we need to work through it. Ralph will be back again at our next meeting. So these two items, policy 5125 and policy 6141, will be brought back to our next policy committee meeting, which will be the second meeting in August, prior to our regular board meeting.
Thank you. Negotiations?
Really no new news on negotiations, just as people know, as I've discussed, the NFT contract mediation would start theoretically August 8th, or sometime between August 8th and September 2nd, and arbitration would begin on September 2nd. So those dates haven't changed.
Okay. All right, for curriculum, we'll be meeting a special meeting next Thursday night to consider the proposal from the Norwalk Act to do a survey of the school system from grade 7 and up. And discovered tonight we'll have a subsequent meeting be talking about curriculum at Briggs. Mr. Simmons,
as you know, facilities, we had a meeting last week with Briggs. Also, we're awaiting the facility utilization study to be coming out shortly. Athletics coming up in August. As you know, last year we partnered with the New York Yankees organization to have a camp over Brian McMahon. It was very successful, and this year they're going 2 weeks, so that'll begin in August. Yankees also gave us 2 scholarships, and I was also to get 6 more scholarships from an acquaintance of mine, which are $1,000 apiece. Wow. So this gentleman, he's from the I'm Next company, gave us $6,000 to Norwalk students.
Excellent.
Do that as well. So we're looking forward to seeing the Yankees pull up at Brian McMahon.
Outstanding. And I say that even though I'm a Mets fan. Ms. Murray, Finance.
For the month of July, we did have a cancellation of our Finance Committee meeting, but we will be having one scheduled for August 12th. Prior to that, I need to at least have a chance to meet with the interim director. It will be something that we can have a discussion with, as well as our superintendent, in terms of some of the practices and some of the studies that have taken place, and we need to have a better handle on what the board is informed on prior to the Finance Committee meetings, as well as the chair. So I'd just like to have a conversation with yourself as well as the Director of Finance, because before we move forward with any other actions.
Okay. All right, that's the committee reports. Board member announcements? Any announcements? Mr. Barbas?
I just wanted to follow up, for parents to know about the mayor and I organized a meeting to discuss, kind of dealing with snow, which is a little hard to imagine today, but we know it's a big issue. We don't want to have a repeat of last winter, and we know the biggest problem is we're trying to coordinate NPS custodians, Department of Public Works, Parks and Recs, and so we did have this meeting on July 1, and, hopefully we're going to have some follow-up and discuss some areas where we can definitely make progress. I don't think it's realistic to think to throw out this whole arrangement as kind of difficult as an arrangement as it is, to just toss it out. But that, we're hoping to make some progress with DPW for them to change the way they plow at certain properties. That will make it less of a problem for our custodians, and then also work with the schools with the outsourced custodians where we have a little more flexibility, where certain things could take place, and also try to figure out what Parks and Recs can and can't do. They only have 17 people to work on this. We've got 19 campuses, and really one of the biggest issues are playgrounds, getting playgrounds free of snow and ice so kids can play on them during recess, and that was a big issue this winter. We probably won't have the same kind of winter, but we're still working on this, trying to prepare.
Okay. Any other board member announcements?
Yeah, real quick. Last week I attended a football camp that was held over at Nathan Hale, and I do want to say, Mr. Mayor, Mike Mulcahy did a wonderful job over at Nathan Hale. The school fields are completely renovated. The $2.1 million was well spent. The varsity baseball field is amazing. The lights, and also the new football /lacrosse /field hockey /soccer field. It is great. All of the facilities work, everything works, scoreboards. They did a wonderful job, so we're looking forward to our sports teams playing this year.
Fantastic. Good.
Any other comments, Mr. Mayor?
Just officially and publicly welcome Dr. Adamowski. Look forward to working with you, Doctor. My office is right below yours. It takes about 3 minutes to walk up or down, and the door is open. And obviously, I'm available to you, and hopefully not hopefully, I know we'll have a spirit of cooperative working together and a good relationship. So welcome aboard, and thank you for taking on the position.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll move on to approval of minutes. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the minutes for June 16, 2015. Mr. Simmons moves. Is there a second? Mr. Rivas seconds. Any discussion, corrections, changes? Ms. Mosby?
Yes, I'm going to be voting no on these minutes based on the email that I sent on July 13th to the board.
Okay, noted. Any other comments, corrections? All right, if none, we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of approving the June 16 minutes, please indicate. And that is, okay, all opposed? And one. Okay, so 8 in favor, 1 opposed. Minutes are approved. Next is the July 7, 2015 minutes. Motion to approve would be in order. Mr. Simmons, second, Ms. Keys. Any discussion, corrections, changes? Ms. Mosby?
Okay, on page 2, on the second paragraph, it says Ms. Mosby stated that she also views the surveys as a positive thing for feedback from students. I never said that. It was like an entire section of whatever was going on. It's kind of like missed out. So basically, I was talking about the opt-out option and how that will work. And I gave an example of the surveys. You know what I'm saying? If there's 25 questions and 20 of them are appropriate and 5 are not appropriate, do the answers. 20 are just opt out. And, Mr. Connolly's and then we talked about recommending coming to the curriculum committee with the results. And I talked about that with that, and then we agreed that the results will come to us, the board first, and not to Norwalk Acts. We'll be the first person to review those results if we decide to go down that road.
I recall that conversation.
Well, what I did was, and I'll give it to you, I just typed it up to make it easy for you. And then on page 5, 6, and 7, all of the motions are all over the place, meaning that, and maybe you might want to look at it, one where it says Ms. Rivas was really Mr. Simmons, and then had, because you had Ms. Mosby, I never second Mr. Simmons second. Then on the next one was Ms. Keys, Mr. Simmons approved. So all of the motions are kind of like off.
Okay, sorry. Can you examine the tape and make sure we get the motions correct?
And it's on all 3 pages.
So, move to table, motions are corrected, move to table until the correct.
Yes, you made that motion. I remember that. But what Ms. Mosby is saying is she doesn't believe she seconded it.
No.
Okay, no, I'm moving to table this until this is reviewed again. I'm motioning to table now, to table it, since there's more than one page that needs to be looked over, and it looks like everyone's all over the place anyway. Can we table it, because it's a lot of corrections until it's, they review the tape or whatever,
Motion to table the July 7th minutes has been made. Is there a second? Ms. Mosby. All right. In order to give the secretary time to check the tape, all in favor of tabling the minutes, please indicate. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Opposed? 1. Okay. Tabled. 8 in favor, 1 against for the July 7 minutes. We'll look at those again at the next meeting. All right, final set of minutes, July 13, 2015. Is there a motion to approve? Mr. Simmons moves. Is there a second? Ms. Rivas seconds. Again, any corrections? Mr. Simmons.
I think Ms. Keys moved to approve the appointment of Midori Tuttle. No, I did. She moved.
Oh, for Wolf Pit?
Yeah, for Wolf Pit.
Yes, I did.
That's correct. Yeah, I remember that. so on the Wolf Pit approval, it should show that Ms. Keys moved. Do you recall if you seconded that already?
I don't remember. I may have.
I think you did.
Yeah, probably did, yeah.
All right, so let's indicate there that
I know
Keys
she
moved, Simmons seconds.
No, I know she moved.
Yeah, I know she did, I remember that. Okay. Yeah, you guys just flipped between the two motions. All right, any other corrections? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes as corrected, please indicate. 7. All opposed? Abstentions? 2. Okay. Minutes are approved, 7:02. And at 8:06, the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Rivas. All in favor? A second by Mr. Kasimis. All in favor? Meeting is adjourned. That was a peaceful first meeting. I can't believe I gotta sign these things.
Yeah, I'll